Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we move on to the next letter, and it's a beautiful letter to Sudama Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's servitors. And this is a beautiful letter based on his preaching in Japan. So it starts at the top. It says, Letter to Sudama, Los Angeles, 8th January 1970. And then Prabhupada writes the numeric date in reverse. And then Tokyo. And then he starts the letter. My dear Sudama, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated January 4th, 1970. I noted the contents with great interest. Prabhupada would always be very eager and anxious. Both things, just like a parent, he would be very eager and anxious when these devotees would go to different countries. You must know, they're young boys and girls, they're like 20 years old. What can a 20-year-old do? Can you imagine a 20-year-old person? This is why it's so amazing what Prabhupada has done, because not only did he achieve greatness by leaving India, going on a boat, going to another country, and like we were saying, transplanting a whole culture there. He not only helped those people. If that was done, that is already so great. He motivated these young boys and girls at 20 years old to go to another country alone many a times. Like Sudama was alone here. He had some backup help, but they were alone. And send them to another country to start up a whole missionary movement at 20 years old. Who does that? Where do you get a 20-year-old priest, pastor, pandit, rabbi? Do you get a 20-year-old person going to another country and starting up a whole movement there and being successful at it? Where do you find such a thing? And here Prabhupada is sending Sudama Prabhu to Japan. For those who know who Sudama Prabhu is, he's a black-bodied American devotee. Black-bodied. And he's going to Japan to preach alone at a young age, almost 20 years old. How are these things happening if it's not a miracle? Just see how these things are happening. So Prabhupada is really very interested and very eager when he gets letters from these devotees. I'm just remembering how Brahmananda Prabhu went right to Pakistan. It's crazy. Only a young person could do something as crazy as that, or an old person like Prabhupada. But you have to be some level of craziness has to be there. Either crazily in love with God, or crazy to go and commit suicide in such a place. And somebody like Brahmananda went right to Pakistan and he started to try to preach there. And Prabhupada was in so much anxiety. You can imagine, like a parent. So just like that, Prabhupada was always eager when these devotees would write back and give updates as to what's going on. So Prabhupada is continuing here. Actually, I was thinking of you from London, and by the grace of Krishna, my anxiety was televised to you in your dream. So when we dream of the spiritual master, what does it mean? We know when Prabhupada had the dream of Bhaktisiddhanta, and Bhaktisiddhanta came to him repeatedly and told him, take sannyas. And he was mortified, he was terrified, because he was still a family person. and he had his responsibilities. He had 4 children, and his daughters were not married, and who's going to take care of the family? How can I just, he's not a single person. How do you just leave all this now and take sannyas like that? So he would consult with his senior godbrother, Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj says, no, if Prabhupada is coming again and again to tell you this, then this is something you have to do. So he understood. So when the spiritual master comes in a dream, it's not ordinary. We know many of us had dreams of Srila Prabhupada and how we feel so exhilarated after that, and you get up in the morning and you're remembering it, and you're remembering what he did and what he said. And many of us have also had dreams of our own spiritual masters, and we're remembering what he said and what he did. So it's always very exhilarating to get that kind of dreams. But it's described scripturally that when you get the dream of a spiritual master, it's not an ordinary dream. It's actually instructions being given to you in the form of a dream. So he is saying here, Prabhupada is saying, I have so much anxiety thinking about you that by the thought process, that telepathy, it came to you in a dream that you dreamt about me. So you can see the connection of the spiritual master is not just a physical one. It's the spiritual master is constantly in anxiety when the disciple is going out and preaching and doing devotional service. Even if it's just in your home, the spiritual master's care and concern is very deep. So he's constantly thinking about the disciple and how the disciple will improve. So these dreams are not ordinary. These dreams are actually very deep instructions that are coming through. So if you can remember them and try to absorb and filter out what instructions I can gather from this, that would be very beneficial for you. So Prabhupada goes on to say, so Krishna is very kind upon us, and his kindness will be more exhibited the more we expand this Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada is talking here about Lord Chaitanya, that Lord Chaitanya is very kind to the conditioned souls. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tivise Namaha. That this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very kind to the living entities. So if we try to assist him in the Sankirtan movement, this can become the decisive moment in our lives, and it could be the great merit that is required for us to go back to Godhead, as he will see that we made some attempts, maybe little attempts, but we made some attempt to try to help the Sankirtan movement. Yesterday we were reading Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. So Prabhupada goes on to say here, take it as a fact. There is no question of doubting this statement. Wow! When Prabhupada writes like this, it just makes your hair stand up, He says, take it as a fact. There is no doubt about this, because he's saying, I can see you are sacrificing, you are trying your best there. Take this as a fact that none of this will go in vain. Krishna will definitely acknowledge the efforts you made to try to help propagate the Sankirtan movement. So Prabhupada, it's very powerful statements. Prabhupada goes on to say, the whole world is in need of Krishna consciousness. So in this way, in a generic sense, Prabhupada is saying the whole world is in need of God consciousness, because everyone else is preaching atheism. All the school education systems, the tertiary university level education, all of it is preaching atheism, because it is preaching materialism. And if we don't try to awaken the people to see what's going on, we don't say become Hare Krishnas, we say become God conscious. Prabhupada would say that if your system of religion is teaching you how to love God, that is perfection. The point is love God. Do activity and be obedient to His rules and His guidance and love Him. Many religions today, they fear God. It's more that they fear God and what He'll do to them and cast them to hell, rather than love. How do you love someone who's going to cast you to hell, who has the power to cast you to hell? How do you just say, no? How do you selflessly, completely love somebody like that? Because you're more scared than anything else. So your love will be covered by fear. But here Krishna is completely the God of love. He's so appreciative of whatever we do. He understands how the world works. He made this condition. And He understands our predicament here, and He's trying to help us out of it. Prabhupada goes on to say here, Krishna inspired my Guru Maharaj and he inspired me, and I am trying to inspire you all because Krishna wants it. Remember, Krishna comes, yada yada hi dharmasya. I come to establish dharma, religiosity, every yuga. So if anybody helps him in that, whatever form they may be a monkey form in Ram's time, they could be Kshatriyas in Krishna's time, it could be Sudras in Lord Chaitanya's time. It doesn't matter. Any soul who wants to assist in the Sankirtan mission will get so much blessing. And not material blessing to go to heavenly planet. What will they get? Yadgatvam na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. You go to that place where you don't come back anymore. So that is what they get. We were saying at one time, in the Bible it's explained how that God had created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. So if God created heaven, as it's saying in the Bible, then where was He standing when He did that? He must be in a place that's not created, which is eternal. That Krishna is talking about. Yat gatvam na nivartante. Tat dhamam, that dhamam, paramam mama, it's a supreme and it's mine, my abode. So He's residing in a separate place. So all those who want to go to heaven, they're going to a place where God is not there. They're going to a place where God is not there. God, tat dhamam paramam mama, that's a supreme abode. That place where I stood when I created heaven and earth. That is a very different place. That is an eternal place. And that's where the devotees want to go. We don't want to go to heaven. We want to go to Golok Vrindavan. Prabhupada goes on to say, you have gone to Tokyo with a great mission, with blessings of Krishna, and I am very much encouraged to read your letter that there is great possibility of Krishna consciousness movement in Japan. So Prabhupada, remember, he sent Krishna Maharaj to China and he sent Sudama to Japan. Both of them are not Oriental people, they're Americans. Krishna Maharaj was American and Sudama Prabhu was black American, and he's sending them to an Oriental Asian country. Can you just fathom this out for a moment? How difficult that is? He goes and sends Bhakti Tirtha Swami to Russia. Do you find one black American person, black-bodied person in Russia? But he sent him there and he would preach there to the academics. Ganesham Prabhu, he was called at that time, Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Look at what Prabhupada is achieving, completely on the transcendental platform. You never find anything like this anyway. You never find anything like this anyway. This is the power of Krishna consciousness. This is the power of operating on the spiritual level, on the level of the soul. No bodily designation. Just give the eternal spiritual message of Godhead, and every soul will awaken, will reawaken their God consciousness, because it's pure. It's not mixed with any fruitive result to go to heaven or get some temporary result, temporary relief from material anxieties. This goal is to go back to the spiritual world eternally and live with Krishna, play with Krishna, eat with Krishna, dance with Krishna. Prabhupada would say this again and again. So Prabhupada goes on to say, I am so encouraged to learn that you are going to order 5,000 copies of BTG for selling in Tokyo. So just see the BTG magazine. We were talking about it the other day, how important it is to sustain a temple. Now here at this time he's ordering 5,000. So can you imagine the potential there for distribution? It's really amazing. Prabhupada says, thank you very much. He is so grateful to Sudama Prabhu's efforts. So the letter goes on very interestingly. I think we'll continue it tomorrow. For today, we've just learned so much about preaching in Japan and appreciation of how Prabhupada appreciated the efforts of every single devotee who assisted him and how he blessed them repeatedly for assisting him in his mission for his Guru Maharaj and Lord Chaitanya. So thank you very much. I hope you have a good day. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.